Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Maddie Astro and this is the Astrophotographer channel. Join me as I take a deep dive into the world of astrophotography, learn new skills and technological solutions along the way. While this channel's primary purpose will be on astrophotography, we will also explore science and technological solutions to improve my performance along the way. If this is something that interests yourself, then please click the notification bell to be notified when new videos come back, and also please click the subscribe button. So without further ado, let's get on to today's subject, which is, of course, getting started. So you've taken the plunge into getting into astrophotography, but you're unsure how to proceed. It can be daunting the first time getting into a new hobby. Astrophotography, like photography, can be quite complex and have a lot of different areas to it. One thing to remember is that it's not just about having the right equipment, it's also having the right combination of equipment. You can have the best equipment in the world, but if you don't have the right combination or the right know-how how to use it, you can end up with mediocre results, which can be quite frustrating. Believe me, I've been there many times. And so I'm here to try and help you avoid that. So on to the first area, this topic. So what equipment do you need? So you need to be thinking about what camera should you get? What type of telescope? Or do you even need a telescope? Should you be looking at a lens instead? What kind of mount should you use? Should you be going for a full-on go-to tracking mount, or perhaps more like a star tracker? Do you need a filter? Well, this can depend heavily on where you are. In the middle of the city or a heavily suburban light polluted area, then a light pollution filter, I feel, is a must if you're taking anything other than a 5-second exposure. So let's have a look at the options. First option in order is the camera. When it comes to astrophotography, there are two main types of cameras. These are digital SLR cameras. Also, mirrorless cameras can be used in that as well. These are great for getting started. They can take great images. And the bonus, you may even have one just lying around that you've been using for everyday photography. Maybe you've been into nature photography or something like that, and you already have a decent DSLR camera, then great, you can use it. There are also dedicated cameras, and these come in two primary types, that is CMOS and CCD cameras. CCD is generally considered to be superior. However, due to the cost and the advancing of CMOS tends to be the more common cameras available on the market, and certainly the more cost effective. So I generally won't be discussing the CCD here, not in this getting started video anyway. So in CMOS, there are two primary types. You have planetary, so obviously designed to capture the moon or the planets, and these are uncooled. Or cooled cameras, which are designed for deep sky objects like nebulae and the galaxies. Okay, so with cameras, now we'll move on to lenses to go with the camera. There are three primary types of lens that you should consider. Wide angle. These are great for photographing the Milky Way and for doing star trails and taking images of meteor showers. Regular lenses, these are great much for more closer in shots of the Milky Way band, and great for taking pictures of constellations and landscape astrophotography. And then there's telephoto lenses, which although are cumbersome and heavy, these could, due to them being telephoto, they can be great at imaging things like galaxies, for example. And that leads us on to telescopes. Telescopes come in three main types. That is, reflector, which uses a primary mirror and a secondary mirror to focus the light into an eyepiece. The most common type of reflector is the Newtonian, which was originally designed by Isaac Newton. Then there are the refractors. I always do that, I don't know why. The refractor is more your typical type telescope that you think of. A lens at the front, focusing the image into the eyepiece at the back. Refractors are generally considered to be superior in the sense that you get brighter and more crisp images from them. So they're generally considered better for astrophotography. However, obviously they can be a lot more expensive. And that leads on to the quadroptics. I probably totally butcher that name, but sorry, I can't help it. These are a kind of combination of the two. So think of them like best of both worlds. They use a combination of lenses and mirrors. And the result of this is they generally can be a lot smaller than your typical Newtonian reflector, but also have a much larger aperture than your typical refractor will have. So these can be great for planetary imaging, etc. like that. Also, they can be good for deep sky imaging as well. So your typical types would be your Schmidt-Cassegrain telescopes for that. So anyway, don't want to dive too deep into the telescopes. Let's move on to the next area, and that is leading us on to the mounts. One of the most important things when imaging astrophotography is your mount. It needs to be decent. Mounts typically come in three different types. Out azimuth, which is just basically a very basic type mount that basically moves vertical and horizontally. Now is fine for landscape use and for navigating night sky, but not very suitable for astrophotography purposes. Then there is the Dobsonian, which is effectively just a modified version of our azimuth mount. The primary one you should be considering with astrophotography is the equatorial. The equatorial is designed in a way that will allow it to actually track the night sky effectively, allowing you to keep, if it's properly aligned, that is, an object in your field of view. So just keep tracking that object and be pretty much dead on, allowing you to get amazing long exposures. This is what you really need to be able to do if you want to take image of deep sky objects, because you need those long exposures to be able to achieve that, and you need a good mount that can do that. An equatorial mount is the type of mount that will allow you to do that, providing you've set it up the right way. And 10 years from experience is a pain, especially if you live in a light polluted area like myself, where it's really difficult to actually see Polaris. In fact, I had that issue the other night, and I could technically see what I believe was Polaris, but could I actually get that into the poloscope? No. And so I didn't have very good tracking, and it was just a total waste of time, really, unfortunately. But as I say, I am amateur astrophotographer. I am learning this, and I hope to get better, and I hope to get better with you. So let's move on to the next section, which is light pollution filters. For any serious astrophotographer, I think a light pollution filter is a must, especially if your primary site that you use is in a heavily light polluted area. Then a light pollution filter can make the difference between being able to actually image galaxies and nebula and not being able to. There are various different types of light pollution filter designed for different types of light. The way light pollution filters work is effectively they just designed to block certain wavelengths of light that certain types of light pollution, are generally put out at. So you get ones designed, like the older type were designed to filter out the orange sulfurous glow of sulfur-based street lamps, whereas more modern ones are designed to filter out the bluish white of LED street lights. So it's well worth your time to actually determine the right type of light pollution filter for you. At some point soon, I will actually be doing a video on this because I have an old type filter which I purchased back before the switch over from sodium-based lamps, and I have a much more modern one that I purchased recently. I just haven't had a lot of chance to use it yet, unfortunately. So I will be doing a comparison of these to see which ones are best. I'm hoping the new one is the best, since it was about 3 times the price. So I'm hoping anyway. But we'll just watch out for that video when it comes out. Anyway, on to recommendations. These are my recommendations. So basically, the secret is basically start with what you already have. If you have a camera and lens, use it. You can get amazing shots with just a basic camera and lens. You can take amazing moonshots. You can capture constellations. You could do star trails. Now, obviously, if you want to do more deep sky imaging, then you really would need to consider purchasing a tracking mount. The two most common ones on the market currently are by Ioptron and Star Watcher. There's the Ioptron Skyguider Pro, and there's the Skywatcher Star Adventurer 2. These are the two most common on the market. There are others, but these are the two most common ones, the ones I'm more familiar with. In fact, I've just purchased the Skyguider Pro, and that's coming tomorrow, so I will be doing an unboxing and a review on that shortly. So watch out for that. So yeah, so basically I would say start with what you've already got, and if you decide to get into doing deep sky objects, then consider getting a star tracker mount, such as I mentioned, and also really make sure you have a decent light pollution filter. If you must get a telescope, I would recommend you start with a smaller scope. Don't make the mistake I did when I first started out a few years back, going for the biggest aperture telescope I could reasonably afford, because that would typically lead you to buying a reflector as opposed to a refractor. Now, there's nothing wrong with reflectors. They're great. I love mine. However, they are very big and heavy, so they can be cumbersome. and not very portable in my experience. I have since developed my kit, so now I basically got the best of both worlds now. I have my Newtonian, my 8-inch Skywatch Newtonian, and I also have my Red Cat 51mm aperture, which is great for more wide field imaging. And now with my Skyguider Pro, I have the perfect portable setup. I also have a really good, strong, much more less portable, but great for imaging setups. So I would recommend starting out that you consider getting something portable. You'll get more use out of it, and you're less likely just to leave it in the closet. So yes, those are my recommendations, and there are a few other things you should consider. I recommend you have a red light torch. This will be very useful if you need to find something in the dark, because there's nothing worse than when your eyes night adapted to then turn on a normal torch, instantly you lose your light adaptation. So so a red light torch will be handy. Obviously warm clothes, because typically at night it can get chilly, especially in the northern hemisphere when it's quite cold. I guess in the southern hemisphere at the same kind of time of year, I guess, as well. But say it can get quite cold, especially when it's at night. So keep warm. Definitely have a compass, because you'll need this to get decent alignment. Unless you're somehow amazing that you can actually just know where north is, then good on you. But I can't. so I would certainly recommend you have a torch, not a torch, a compass. Sorry. Anyway, and then I would also recommend a planetarium app, such as the one I use a lot is called what's it called? I can't think of the name of it now. It's totally gone. But there's various ones out there. I would certainly recommend you have a look around for one. They'll certainly help you learn to navigate the night sky, and are great for planning out your nights beforehand, because let's face it, the less time you have to spend working out what you want to see while you're up there or out there, then the more time you have to actually enjoy your hobby. So definitely get a planetarium app, whether that's on your PC or on your phone. It doesn't really matter. They're all very similar, so I would just recommend you have one. There are some free ones out there, some ones you pay for, but the free ones are generally, for this kind of use, are generally just as good as any other. So you're generally just paying for it looking nicer and a few extra features. So don't worry about paying for one. Just get whatever you want, whichever one seems reasonable to you, and you're good to go. So that is it. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it's been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. The next video will be out in about a week's time, and so I'm not quite sure exactly what it will be on just yet, as I have a few options. So we'll see. But yeah, if you like this video, please click the like and subscribe button, and click that notification bell to be notified when new videos come out. And until next time, I will wish you all clear skies. Good night.